So welcome everyone to the Modernize Your BI and Reporting with Amazon QuickSight. So my name is Neil Colley. I'm the principal worldwide go-to-market specialist for QuickSight. Joining us from our Amazon finance team is Chitradeep Barman, as well as Pramad Subranayam will be joining us via video as well. So from a perspective, we're going to be covering, the challenges with traditional BI and how we plan to serve the next generation of BI users from an Amazon QuickSight perspective. We'll talk about the Amazon finance journey, and then we'll also talk about the Accenture journey from a migration perspective. Right? So one of the key things that is pointed out is in a data-driven organization in the cloud era, what that means is data must be, an organizational asset, as we all know. It must be pervasive and accessible. Anyone from data scientists to analysts to other constituents who need data, right? And then you have to have the ability to augment that data with the next generation capabilities around machine learning and those next generation insights so that you can drive the proper innovation and efficiency from that perspective. Now let's talk about some of the challenges with traditional BI, right? And just populate this screen real quick. A lot of times, whether you build versus buy, you're going to lack some of those advanced features around machine learning. So you may have to bring another tool within the ecosystem. As you become more data-driven and you want to get data into more folks' hands, it's going to be very difficult to scale from a cost perspective, from a cost performance perspective. And then also, it can lack some of those integration layers you need. A lot of times with data, you're going to need column level, row level security. You're going to need to be able to secure environments, departments, divisions, customers into their own namespaces as well. And then oftentimes, they don't cover all the use cases, right? So you end up having 4 or 5, maybe 6 BI tools to do the job of one. And then from a price performance perspective, it can be very restrictive as you try to license out, your whole environment, right? And so from a QuickSight perspective, one of our 5 core capabilities is, the augmented insights on demand, right? So a lot of folks have probably attended the Q sessions, so the ability to ask those natural language query questions on demand and get those answers in seconds. And then from anomaly detection and forecast perspective, QuickSight uses an algorithm called the random cut forest algorithm. This algorithm is pioneered and benchmarked by Amazon, and so we've infused that into QuickSight. And then we also have a deep integration with SageMaker, which allows us to do things like lead scoring, churn analysis. You can build and bring your own models and algorithms into QuickSight, right? And then it's deeply integrated across the majority of our stack, right? So that means you can bring in technologies like lake formation and have column level and row level security and pass that down to QuickSight. You can also provide namespaces so that you can separate department marketing, you can separate finance, et cetera. And then also the capability to be able to embed, a custom application. We can one-click embedding at this point as well. The ability to embed QuickSight into an application and have it be multi-tenant in nature, whether that's for internal reporting use cases or external, right? So oftentimes what we've been finding with a lot of use cases with QuickSight, customers are adopting QuickSight for internal reporting, but if they have a revenue-generating application and they need to serve up data, they're also using QuickSight to scale out from that perspective as well, right? And then finally, very cost-effective in terms of QuickSight. We came out with the first pay-as-you-go BI tool, so you can kind of crawl, walk, run with that, whether it's the user-based, the capacity-based pricing, or we even offer private pricing agreements to map to your use case as well. Now, what do we mean by BI for everyone? So let me just populate this a little bit. So oftentimes within all our customers, you're going to have developers, data scientists, analysts, you're going to have field technicians, and all those journeys can be totally different. Everything from DevOps reporting to external reporting to daily performance dashboards for line of business, right? And then, different skill sets could be NoSQL, it could be machine learning, it could be natural language query that you're trying to do, it could be custom visualizations and reporting, and then custom development as well, right? And it could be, as well as that external reporting, it could be monthly and operational reporting. And so QuickSight can encompass all of those, and you'll hear some of the customer stories, and whether it's internal use cases or external. And so with that, we've rolled out a new set of capabilities over the last couple years around augmenting your data with machine learning, right? So we talked about how the random cut forest algorithm drives anomaly detection and forecasting, but also it drives our natural language narratives or our data insights, right? And so we're gonna basically do unsupervised learning on your data, and then we're gonna serve you up insights. We call that customizing the narrative, and then you can add that to your dashboard as well, and I'll show that as part of the demo. And then, of course, the ML predictions with SageMaker, as we talked about, the ability to do churn analysis and bring your own algorithms in, but also the natural language query capabilities. Now, so one of the core things that QuickSight got right from the start is serverless. So why serverless? So with traditional BI, it's been designed for a limited end user audience. And then the more concurrency you have, the slower that performance is gonna be, and the more that you're gonna have to add more compute nodes to that layer. And then also the capacity around that. Now, from a QuickSight perspective, it's designed for virtually every and any user, right? So we have auto scaling, and it's fully managed, and it's all baked in. And then you have that consistent performance, so no matter the concurrency, it's gonna scale. Internally, we have hundreds of thousands of users at this point, and so the pricing is truly all in when you think about the QuickSight layer and what it means to be serverless. Now, one of our other capabilities that's gonna be very performant and a lot of customers take advantage of course, you have direct query to a lot of different data sources, but you also have SPICE. And so SPICE stands for our super fast parallel in-memory calculation engine. It's basically a columnar-based data store that's meant to give you that millisecond load refresh time from a dashboard perspective. And so a lot of customers take advantage of SPICE. Now, each author, which is a publisher, share, creator within your environment, gives you 10 gigabytes of SPICE capacity, and that's pooled across your entire user base. Now, let's talk about the better together story, right? So you have, data sources like S3, Redshift, Lake Formation, and then also from enrich and prepare your data, you have tools like Glue Data Brew, which is a kind of a sister tool to QuickSight as well. We talked about SageMaker, and then that last mile is QuickSight. And then one other important thing to just kind of point out with Data Brew is you can do up to 350 plus transformations, and it's gonna identify those data sets and allow you to run that data preparation as you see fit. So I'm just gonna pivot real quick to the demo here, and I'm gonna take you through a couple different reader experiences, and then I'm gonna show you those views embedded. And the embedded views I'm gonna show you is actually built into our Demo Central portal, which is accessible to all customers to try out. And I think you're gonna really like it. And I encourage you all to take pictures of that URL once I get to it, and I'll tell you. So right now I'm in the QuickSight console. So one of the favorite things that I like to do just to kind of highlight some of those ML capabilities that we talked about. Just go to demo dashboards here. Let's go to business summary with drill downs. And let's just go to summary real quick. So what you can see immediately is there's a lot of insights. Now, this is all machine learning driven, right? So these insights have been served to an author. That author is then customized that narrative, which means you can add conditional formatting, you could add calculated fields as you see fit, but this is all generated by the random cut forest algorithm that's built into QuickSight. And then as you see these other insights, week over week, year over year sales, that's all just custom drag and drop from a simplicity perspective. Now, as we get the details here, everyone loves tables, right? So you can do conditional formatting from a tables perspective, so it's all there, as well as add any icons as you see fit. Now, one of my favorite parts of this metrics dashboard is we have a ton of time series data here. And in that, anytime you have time series data and a couple KPIs, QuickSight is gonna do unsupervised learning on that data, and it's gonna serve up things like a forecast. So as we can see here, we can look at the expected and upper and lower bound. But as a reader, a powerful capability that you can do, just 1 second. So as a reader, a powerful capability that you could do is the what-if analysis component here, right? So if I wanted to look at my repeat customers, and if I know about things, whether I'm going to be impacted, whether it's COVID, geopolitical, weather data, you can simply just adjust that target here, and then hit apply. And then it's going to show you, as a reader, you have the ability to not only look at the forecast, but you also have the ability to look at the what-if analysis component of that. Now, from an anomaly detection perspective, QuickSight can do anomalies. And you can also configure alerts across those anomalies and basically gauge the severity as well as the direction. Now, another component in any anomalies that you have, let me just scroll down a little bit. One of the components that you have is the ability to do a contribution analysis, right? So you have the ability to analyze the contribution, and then you can sort through deviation from expected, and you can actually drill into the quarters as well, right? So that's another component. Now let's go to another quick dashboard here. So we're gonna go to SaaS dashboard. Dashboard here. SaaS sales, right? So let's look at this scenario. Let's say we got an email alert. And so you can view your dashboard as that executive. You get that email alert. And then you can look at their executive dashboard and then basically do a lot of the different things that we showed in the previous demo. You can do that what-if analysis. You got all your key KPIs and your natural language insights populating. But you also, with that architecture, can pipe in things like customer sentiment and sentiment analysis. And another cool thing that I'm going to show off with Q is you can actually, with your dashboard, set up Q topics and then look at the types of queries that can be asked as well, right? So let me just pivot real quick to another asset. And this is our Demo Central dashboard here. So feel free to take out your camera and take pictures of this URL, or reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I'll definitely be able to send you this link, right? So the power of QuickSight is everything that you could do in a native console, you can embed in QuickSight, and it can look and feel just like your custom application, right? So we have a whole range of different styles of dashboards, that you can choose from, including featured demos. And some of our featured demos roll out some of our new functionality around freeform, which is going to address pixel perfect reporting, as well as churn analysis with SageMaker, right? And then another cool thing that I would encourage everyone to look at is the Ask Q part. So this will give you that SaaS sales dashboard that we were looking at. And you'll be able to basically look and kind of see what questions have been asked and then ask those questions. And then I'll just ask a quick question here in natural language here, who spent the most this month? And it's going to give me that target, right? Give me a nice little table. But if I wanted to change that visualization, I certainly could as well, right? So with all dashboards, they're probably in a lot of cases 90% right? But there's always questions that end users have, and sometimes it can take 2 to 3 weeks to get those questions. And so as I scroll back here, what I want to show is the feedback loop between authors and readers, right? So I'm going to go into the topic section here, and I'm just going to pick software sales real quick. And then you can, as an author, the beautiful dashboard that you maybe spent hours creating, you can look and see what that feedback looks like, right? So you have your summary data. You can look at the data, also adjust the different synonyms and things of that nature, as well as add any calculated field as you see fit. But you can also look at that user activity, right? So you can see what types of questions the users are asking. What does that feedback look like? Is it positive or negative? And that's just powerful capabilities. And then you can also verify your answers as an author, right? So whether you're a reader or an author, you're going to have powerful capabilities within QuickSight. You're going to be able to embed your dashboard, and you're going to be able to take advantage of machine learning and some of the capabilities like that. All right, so I'm going to turn it over to you, Teacher Deep. He's going to take you through the Oracle piece, and then we'll come back for a quick video with the censure.
Thank you, Neil. Indeed, a decade back, if we have QuickSight, we wouldn't have spending time here upgrading our systems. But now that we are here, good evening, everyone. My name is Chitradeep. I'm a senior technical program manager, and I'm here to present our journey from Oracle BI to AWS QuickSight. In Amazon, we deal with petabytes of data.
Excuse me, could you fix your microphone, please?
Yeah, my mic's still hot. His is.
Let me do that. Is it audible now? Cool. So in Amazon, we deal with petabytes of data. Our business and finance users dive deep into data, runs analysis, as well as pivots on millions of records. Now, over time, as our data grew, we started facing operational and maintenance challenges to support these use cases. In fact, in certain cases, just to maintain comparable performance for dashboards over time, or to ensure uninterrupted BI service, our engineering overhead went by multiple folds over year. Not to mention the controllership risk which comes along with the data growth. Now, at this point, we decided to move out of Oracle BI. And we partnered with the AWS QuickSight team to run a campaign across Amazon. Now, over last 10 years, we used Oracle BI as our primary analytical tool for financial reporting. Over time, due to change in business needs, we accumulated thousands of dashboards. In fact, when we were accounting for our migration scope, we ended up identifying more than 10,000 dashboards. Now, of course, when you are moving house to a new house, you are not going to bring all the old stuff that you are not using anymore. We did a similar analysis. We worked with 2,500 Amazon employees to identify what are the relevant dashboards to migrate to the new system. Plus, we ran a similarity analysis. We tried to identify dashboards which has similar use cases and depends on similar data. We merged these dashboards. This refinement of scope reduced our scope from 10,000 to little over 2,000 dashboards. But if I consider only the 100 top used dashboards within these 2,000, these dashboards are used more than 500 Amazon employees every day, and for each and every vet out more than 1 million records. So although we reduced our scope by 80%, the scope was still huge, complex, and equally challenging. To handle this breadth of program, our strategy was to make sure no changes at the database level. We made sure our Redshift data repository retained as is, and our scope of migration was only focused to the representation layer, only for the dashboards. Now, for any other program, our intention was also to make sure no or minimum changes in business processes. To do that, we ran several surveys and several demonstration sessions, showing our end users the difference between QuickSight and Oracle BI. Based on the outcome of these feedback sessions, we translate this feedback into different QuickSight features and enhancements. And over last 14 months, the QuickSight team was instrumental to provision all these features and enhancements. While the QuickSight team was bridging the gap between Oracle BI and QuickSight, we started with our migration. Now, with our refined scope of 2,000 odd dashboards, we categorize these dashboards in two different buckets. Bucket one, around 500 tech team built dashboards. By nature, these are complex dashboards and have complex business logic underneath. And number two, around 1,500 odd user-built dashboards. These dashboards are primarily used for ad hoc analysis, and generally they are simpler compared to the tech team built dashboard. Now, because of their complexity, we started our migration only with the 500 tech team built dashboards. As part of this migration, we redesigned each of these dashboards and rebuilt them on QuickSight. While rebuilding, we leveraged QuickSight's advanced features such as Spice Cache to improve the performance, because performance was one of our concerns. And we identified we have improved performance for certain reports over 40%. And these reports are wide and long running. And when I say wide reports, they have more than 1,000 attributes in them. Now coming to the user-built reports. For these 1,500 reports or dashboards, the challenge was different. It was not the complexity. The challenge was with the volume and how fast we can move this volume to QuickSight. So we took a different approach. For these 1,500 odd reports, we worked with AWS QuickSight to provision an API which will convert Oracle BI dashboard in QuickSight understandable format. Thereafter, we worked with our external vendor partners to build a semi-automated framework. This framework helped us to migrate Oracle BI dashboards systematically to QuickSight with minimum to no manual interventions. When we are doing this migration in parallel, we also started doing user trainings. These trainings helped us in two ways. First, this encouraged the users to start using QuickSight, and as a result, the end users started building their reports on QuickSight by themselves. So it definitely increased adoption, plus the speed of migration. And second, once these users started using QuickSight, we identified certain gaps in features which is available today in OBI or Oracle BI and not in QuickSight. And again, QuickSight team was instrumental to provision those features as well. Now, let me go to the next slide. Yeah. So now that we have all our migration complete, so now the problem was with how do we do the validations. Now for the validations, we obviously relied on user validations or end user validations. But at the same point of time, we wanted to complement it with systematic validations. We used an in-house tool called Alteryx to do these systematic validations. Doing this systematic validation helped us not only accelerate the migration, but at the same point of time, it improved user confidence. And finally, after 14 months of roller coaster, we completed last July 2021, we completed our QuickSight tech stack as a certified SOX compliant repository for financial reporting. Moving on to the impact. Now, migrating BI workload from Oracle BI to QuickSight has the inherent same benefits as AWS. It definitely reduced our engineering overhead. It prepared us for scale with Amazon's data growth. And third and importantly, it has a deep integration with the rest of the AWS services we use today, like Redshift, Athena, Spectrum. But beyond that, the primary benefit of this particular migration was the QuickSight features that got delivered throughout the program. These features not only improved our governance, usability, but at the same point of time reduced our controllership risk by extent for all the financial critical reports. And the good news is, for all these reports or all these features, either they are available or they are in process of being available across globe for all QuickSight customers today. Now, through this program, we also observed certain critical points and learnings. So we would like to share these learnings with you. First and foremost, migrating BI workload to QuickSight is not a lift and shift program. Oracle BI and QuickSight, these are two different systems and their operating principles are also very different. A dashboard which is configured to run optimally in Oracle BI need not to behave in the same way in QuickSight and vice versa. So we definitely recommend to redesign these dashboards and use advanced QuickSight features to improve the performance. Number 2, set your user expectations. Why it's important? We have seen earlier engagement of users helps increase adoption, at the same point of time improve confidence. In fact, that there is another benefit to it. Earlier engagement of users in the program sets the expectation about the new tool. Third, importance of parallel testing. Now, as we discussed, we ran manual validation, we ran systematic validations. But even after that, when our business users started using QuickSight as a product, we identified certain business nuances in which Oracle BI behaves completely differently than QuickSight. And these nuances were never identified either in our validation process or in our earlier assessments. So we definitely suggest to have a parallel phase. And the last one, use our vendor capacities to accelerate the migration. Now, as part of this program, QuickSight has provisioned the API that we spoke about, which converts external dashboard in QuickSight understandable format. Now, obviously, for the complex dashboard, we do need to do the redesigning part of it. But for simpler dashboards where we have the more volume, definitely we can use our vendor capacities to accelerate this migration. And in fact, we used our vendor capacities to migrate 1,500 odd these user-built dashboards in a span of 3 months. Now you can do the math. Now finally, any technical program, it all matters how much we have increased productivity or improved our customer experience. So before I conclude, I would like to share some of the feedbacks that we have received from our users. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for joining the session. Wish you all have a great rest of your night. And now I will hand it over to Neil.
All right. Thanks, Teacher Deep. All right. So we're
Is Pramod Subramani. I'm a TechArt Senior Manager. Thank you. My name is Pramod Subramani. I'm a TechArt Senior Manager, part of the Cloudflux group in Accenture. And today I'm going to be talking about APTP's journey to QuickSight. Let me start about telling about what the platform is. APTP stands for Accenture Post-Trade Processing. It's a capital markets business of service, back office service with transaction-based pricing that we started back in 2013. It's a pay-per-use service that Accenture started. It leverages technology to increase performance and business agility for our customers. It is used to settle trade in 70 plus markets, and it provides other services like reference data management, corporate action, and reconciliation. We have currently about 3 European banks using the platform. We have 24/7 support for the platform, and we are about 1,000 plus people supporting the platform for our customers. So when APTP started its journey to cloud, one of the things is we built an analytics platform on cloud, mainly to make our platform data-driven back office. And when we're doing that, and we were looking at a BI tool, we kind of looked at QuickSight and compared that across some of the other BI tools that are there in the market. If you ask me on why we kind of shortlisted QuickSight, these are the main reasons. First thing is, of course, it's a fully managed cloud service. There are no servers to manage, and that's a big advantage, so there's no maintenance cost. Again, it's a pay-per-use service, so it allows us to share dashboards to users, and then kind of you need to pay for it if users actually access it. That's an advantage, and you don't have to pay an upfront license cost. Plus, it's fully integrated. So since we are already developing something on the cloud and we're using some of the cloud-native services for analytics, we could easily integrate it with some of the other services. Here's another thing that we did. We actually sat with our ops users and looked at the features that ops use on a daily basis. And when we looked at the features and saw QuickSight, we did see that QuickSight offered most of those features. So it was fully loaded already. And of course, QuickSight is evolving, and lot features are getting introduced, in every quarter. So QuickSight was fully loaded for APTP to start off with. Moving on, let's actually see how QuickSight has been implemented in APTP. APTP has a 1,000-member operations team with at least 20 to 30% of them actually needing to use near real-time analytics dashboards, mainly to reduce their intraday risk, manage their daily workload, and also increase, business efficiency. So the way we implemented QuickSight is we kind of used embedded analytics. So we put up a web application and embedded analytics into it, rather than actually enabling console-based access for the entire user base, which would have been a little tedious considering the number of users on the platform. So if you look at this, an Accenture user kind of uses, logs in with his organization SSO ID, and we have a reverse proxy that helps us with authentication and authorization, and then passes on the request to the web app. And then the web app makes API calls to QuickSight, and that's how we've kind of built it. So we are using two types of embedding here. One, of course, is the dashboard embedding for all those users who want access to read-only, pre-generated reports, right? And they are not authoring any reports. So for such users, we have dashboard embedding. And then we also have session embedding for those users who kind of want to author their reports on demand. So based on rules, we show the respective embedded pages to our users. We are using the QuickSight SDK CLI to kind of come up with an automation framework, and we roll out BI reports using templates. So using templates was very beneficial for us because we are a multi-client platform, and using these templates, we are easily able to roll out reports to our customers, and we could completely automate that and deploy it into it. Now let's actually see the benefits that we are seeing on the ground. So 30 to 40% of the cost, of the cost has been saved in terms of the BI operating cost, right? So that is a big reduction that we have seen. What we were doing on-prem to what we are doing on the cloud using QuickSight. Of course, there's no upfront license cost for QuickSight. It is pay-per-use, and that's a big advantage and completely relevant in a cloud era where you're paying per how much you use. Again, QuickSight offers easy integration with all the diverse data sources like S3, Athena, or Redshift, or even the RDS instances. So users are easily able to make up their data sets and kind of generate reports. Again, when we rolled out this platform, it was initially rolled to a small group, and then we kind of had a growing user base. So with QuickSight, it can be easily scalable from 10 to 100 users without having to do anything with the infrastructure. And then, of course, embedded analytics was a big advantage for us because we could kind of roll out reports, embed them into applications based on how ops needed and where they needed, and that was a very good feature that we could use, and we are seeing the benefits actually on the ground, having that option. This is what I had to present today. If you have any questions or you need anything, feel free to reach out to me on my email ID. I will be happy to answer back to you. Thank you. Over to you.
All right. So we have a couple minutes for Q&A. If there's any questions about our transition with the finance team, or if you have just general QuickSight questions, happy to answer if we can.